There's nobody in the world has lied to me more than me. How many times do you tell yourself, it's going to be different this year? How many times have you started the diet saying, oh, this is my year. I'm going to start this year strong. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to eat right. 2 weeks later, what'd you do? You lied to yourself.
My experience is with people that we're probably running at about 51% of our capacity. Something, I mean, you can think about this yourselves. I often ask undergraduates how many hours a day you waste or how many hours a week you waste. And the classic answer is something like 4 to 6 hours a day. You know, inefficient studying, watching things on YouTube that not only do you not want to watch, that you don't even care about, that make you feel horrible about watching after you're done. That's probably 4 hours right there. You know, you think, well, that's 25 hours a week, it's 100 hours a month, that's 2.5 full work weeks, it's half a year of work weeks per year. And if your time is worth $20 an hour, which is a radical underestimate, it's probably more like 50 if you think about it in terms of deferred wages. If you're wasting 20 hours a week, you're wasting $50,000 a year. And you are doing that right now. And it's because you're young, wasting $50,000 a year is a way bigger catastrophe than it would be for me to waste it, because I'm not going to last nearly as long. And so if your life isn't everything it could be, you could ask yourself, well, what would happen if you just stopped wasting the opportunities that are in front of you?
It's our intention. Our intention is everything. Nothing happens on this planet without it. Not one single thing has ever been accomplished without intention.
Your imagination is able to do all that you ask in proportion to the degree of your attention. So, what kind of attention do you place on your desires?
I tell you this, if success was just a joyride, there would be far more successful people. There's a reason that not many people achieve what they want to do and live the lives they really want to do, because it requires, you know, hard work is one thing, but it requires you to conquer yourself. You are the only one stopping yourself from doing whatever the hell it is that you want to do. There will always be excuses. You can always point fingers at someone else that say someone else has it better. At the end of the day, it's you who chooses to watch TV, to watch YouTube, to browse Facebook when you know you should be doing something else. Close those browsers. Turn the TV off. Go do something that you normally wouldn't. Start leading an unusual life. Don't fall into your patterns, your lazy habit. You gotta keep breaking the pattern, the routines, keeping things on the edge, changing your surroundings, always kind of like figuring out how to resist that urge to just like settle down and sit your ass down and lay down on the couch and just mindlessly watch Netflix.
You're not a procrastinator. You have a habit of procrastinating. Big difference. Because if it's a habit, I can teach you to use science to break it. You see, all habits have 3 parts. There's a trigger, and in the case of procrastination, the trigger is always stress. Then there's a pattern you repeat, and in the case of procrastination, it is to avoid doing something. And then there's a reward. You get a little stress relief. The only way to break a habit, you guys, is not to deal with the triggers. You're never gonna get rid of the stress in your life, but you can 100% change your pattern of avoiding work. So next time that you're in a situation where you feel yourself hesitate, you spent way too much time checking out the highlights from last night's scores, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go, oh, I must be stressed out about something. Acknowledge the stress. Then go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I want you to count to yourself because I want you to interrupt the habit that's stored here, and I want you to awaken your prefrontal cortex. Then I want you to just work, just for 5 minutes. The reason why I want you to only work for 5 minutes is because your problem isn't working. It's the habit of avoiding. I just need you to start. And here's the other cool thing. We know based on research that if we can get you to start, 80% of you are going to keep going.
You need to be disciplined. The future is very expensive, and only those who are carriers of discipline can inherit the future. I need you to stay motivated. I don't care if you have to listen to me 1,000 times. I need you to stay motivated. And I need that motivation to mature into discipline.
The thing about self-discipline is that it is necessary. It's very, very hard to remain consistent because you tend to resist, because the discipline is coming from somewhere else. Anybody who's working you out, your teachers, your trainers, your people, they have to train you to get out of your life. Do your own thing. Practice self-discipline.
Don't allow yourself to get caught up in other people and putting your happiness in somebody else and finding purpose in something else. Once you're on the path to becoming, then you can find real happiness.
Discipline is not punishment. It's not.
You got to know the purpose and why do I want this? Because any person successful, really successful, knows exactly what they want and they know why. The reason you got to know why is, remember I said yesterday, reasons come first, answers come second.
And believing in yourself is nothing more than doing the things that you once didn't believe that you could do. You see, confidence comes from competence.
And in order to go get it, you got to be willing to put something in that you probably did not sign up to put in. You got to put in more time. You got to give up much more sleep than you thought. You got to put in more money again and again. No one talks about that it's going to take me so much longer than I thought. Are you willing?
I thought that was me at my 100% potential. Come to find out, a few years later, I wasn't anywhere near that. That's why people got to understand what is in us. We have no idea until we start trying hard. And I mean really trying hard, where you're obsessed with, hey, this is my new norm. My new norm is that, wow, this isn't always fun. It's not always meant to be fun. And that's when you know you're trying hard.
You want to be somebody who succeeds. You want to be somebody who builds something. You want to be somebody who people write books about one day. You are going to have to be okay with being bad for a long time.
I'm telling you, I've been thinking. I've been making calls. That's what I'm asking you to do. What fuels you? The reason why you're so lazy is not because you don't have the ability. You're so lazy because your dream's so small.
If you begin to look at yourself, you got to redefine yourself. Who are you right now? And who must you become in order to create what you want? What has to change about you? What is it that you're doing right now that would be a liability for you? As you begin to look toward the future and take inventory of yourself, what is it about you right now that you've got to leave this behind because this no longer fits? Looking at where you want to go and the kind of person that you must become, the kind of standards that you have for you. What is it that you must do differently? It makes sense unless you change your pattern, unless you change the way you're thinking, unless you change your behavior, you're going to continue to produce the results in your life. See, all of us are winners, but some of us are producing results that we don't want. And so all you have to do is look at your game plan, look at your strategy. How is it that you have been being? What is it that you've been doing to produce this? See, you're the director, you're the producer, you're writing the script, you're the star of your life. And as you begin to look at your life, you can decide whether or not it's a smash or whether or not it's a flop. That's in your hands. Look at your life, look at where you want to go. Don't worry about your circumstances. Don't worry about your age. I have a friend who's up in age, over 70, and she wanted to build a multi-million-dollar complex. Her name is Dr. Johnny Coleman. Lenders and bankers say, you can't do that, you're too old. She ignored them. That building now stands, ladies and gentlemen, a multi-million-dollar structure. But there are a lot of people who would have listened to that. There are a lot of people that would not have even gotten to that point. They would have talked themselves out of even going down to the bank to ask for it, because they've already said no to themselves. See, it's time now. If you want to make this your decade, you've got to start saying yes to your life. You've got to start saying yes to your dreams, yes to your unfolding future, yes to your potential.
I realize that I need to have a level of focus and a level of intentionality that I have not yet cultivated in my life. That there's still habit that I do, that I put in the way, that was fine when I was operating and achieving at this level, but now I want to go to this level. And so what are those things? Getting up earlier, being a complete hawk about how I'm spending my time and attention. That in the mornings when I'm with my family, literally being hyper-focused on just them so that I'm present with them. And then confession, I'll literally work for like 25 minutes and then the ADD kicks in and then I'll find myself folding laundry for 20 minutes because I allow myself to get distracted. And see, that's the thing about habits and the levels of success that you get to. That when you recognize that jumping to the next level that you want to get to is nothing more than just tweaking your habits a little bit, that it's really that simple, you will start to be able to have quantum leaps. And I'm realizing that I have amazing habits, but they have gotten me to here. And if I want to get to the next level, it's going to require a level of focus and intentionality that I haven't demanded of myself before. No drinking during the week, being super, super focused on the stuff that's really important. Probably hiring somebody full-time to be a full-time assistant to help me stay organized and focused in terms of scheduling and weeding through all the incoming requests. I think it's just about that, about this sort of like maniacal focus on things that are important. Like now is the time. And what's cool is you can make it happen anytime in your life. Like if there's some jump that you want to make. Look, I'm an extraordinarily productive person. I've accomplished a tremendous amount in the last 3 years. But what it's going to take for me to get to the next level and not destroy the people around me with my stress and be an amazing leader and be an amazing mother and be an awesome wife and actually be an incredible businesswoman is a level of focus that I have never required of myself.
So a group of really brilliant psychologists in the field of expertise research have sat down and tried to figure out how long do you have to work at something before you become really good, right? And the answer seems to be, it's an extraordinarily consistent answer in an incredible number of fields, and that is you need to have practiced, to have apprenticed for 10,000 hours before you get good. So every great classical composer, without exception, composes for at least 10 years before they write their masterwork.
Mozart, 10.
Mozart is composing at 11, but he's composing garbage at 11. I mean, he doesn't produce something great until he's 22 or 23. Concerto number 9, I think, 271. If I asked you, how long did it take you when you were doing this job before you felt comfortable and good at what you were doing?
10 years at least.
10 years, yeah. Same with me. I mean, it's an incredibly consistent finding, and it's really important because it says that we are far too impatient with people. When we assess whether someone has got what it takes to do a certain job, we always want to make that assessment after 6 months or a year, and that's ridiculous, you know? The kinds of jobs we have people do today are sufficiently complex that they require a long time to reach mastery. And what we should be doing is setting up institutions and structures that allow people to spend the time and effort to reach mastery, not judging them prematurely.